During Sukkot, as we step into our fragile shelters of branches and open skies, we read one of the most haunting and yet beautiful books in all of Scripture, Kohelet or Ecclesiastes. It begins with a cry that echoes across thousands of years. Havel, havelim, hakol havel. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. At first, the words sound dark and even despairing. Yet within them lies one of the most spiritual truths of the whole Bible. Kohelet looks at the world with eyes wide open. He sees joy and sorrow, wisdom and foolishness, wealth and poverty. And he sees that everything passes, everything changes, everything, in the end, is fleeting. That little word, hevel, repeated more than 30 times in the book, holds the key to Kohelet's message. We usually translate it as vanity or meaningless, but the Hebrew means something more subtle and more poetic. Hevel literally means breath or vapor. It's the mist you see when you exhale on a cold morning or in front of a foggy mirror. It's real for a moment, visible, and then it's gone. It captures life's ephemeral nature, the way everything we build and love and strive for is only here for a time. It's not a coincidence that we meet this word before Kohelet ever wrote it. In the very beginning of the Torah, in the story of Cain and Abel. Hevel, the first person to die. What a name for him. Breath. His very name reminds us how fragile life is. One moment here, the next moment gone. Our lives too are like breath, a brief exhale between birth and eternity. So when Kohelet says, Havel Havelim, Hakol Havel, he is not saying that life is worthless. He is saying that life is fragile, precious, and temporary, and that to live wisely, we must remember that. Kohelet belongs to a part of the Bible known as the wisdom books, along with Proverbs and the book of Job. These are not books of law or prophecy. They come from what scholars call the wisdom school of ancient Israel, a movement of sages who ask not, what does God command, but what is the good life? What does it mean to live well in a world full of mystery and change? Proverbs gives the optimistic voice of wisdom. Live rightly and good will follow. Job gives the anguished voice. What happens when suffering defines all reason? And then there's Kohelet, who gives the reflective voice, the philosopher at the dusk of his life, who has seen it all and now is asking, what truly endures? Tradition attributes Kohelet to King Solomon. So if Proverbs is Solomon in his youth, full of confidence, and the Song of Songs is Solomon in the passion of love, then Kohelet is Solomon in old age, reflective and questioning, humbled by time. He writes, and I quote, I built houses, I planted vineyards, I amassed silver and gold. I denied myself nothing my eyes desired, and yet I saw that all was hevel, a chasing after the wind. He looks at human life, at toil, ambition, and even wisdom itself and asks, what do we really gain from all our labor under the sun? And then, with honesty and gentleness, he answers, there is nothing better for a person than to eat and drink and find enjoyment in their toil, for this too is from the hand of God. Those words could not be more timely. We live in an age of abundance, of constant motion, of endless striving, yet, like Kohelet, we often find ourselves restless, anxious, chasing after the wind. He saw long ago what we too easily forget, that success and possessions, even wisdom itself, cannot protect us from mortality. What we can do is embrace that moment, find joy in simple things, and live with awareness. This is not to be a nihilist, that is, to be spiritually mature. Kohelet teaches us that meaning is not found in control or permanence, but in presence, in living with gratitude for what is here and now. That message comes to life in Sukkot As the year turns, as the summer ends and autumn begins, we build a sukkah, a home that cannot last. The festival of Sukkot comes at the end of the harvest, the turning of seasons, when the fields are empty and the air grows cool. It is, in a sense, the final festival of the year's cycle, the last of the seasons before the quiet of winter descends. We celebrate at precisely the moment when nature reminds us that everything is impermanent. The leaves begin to fall, the light shifts, and yet we call this season Zman Simchatenu, the time of our rejoicing. Why is that? Because we have learned Kohelet's wisdom. Joy does not come from the illusion of permanence. It comes from the courage to rejoice with impermanence. Kohelet says, to everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. Every season has its sacred task. The challenge is to recognize it and to live fully within it. When we sit in the sukkah, we see the same lesson in wood and leaves. We eat, we sing, we invite guests, and we know that tomorrow the sukkah may shake in the wind. But that is precisely why we rejoice today. At the end of his book, Kohelet sums up all his searching with one final line. The end of the matter, when all is said and done, fear God and keep his commandments, for that is the whole of a person. The Hebrew says, Ki ze kol ha'adam, literally, this is the whole human being. To the whole, says Kohelet, is to live with awe, to remember the source of life, and to act with humility and gratitude. So this Sukkot, when you sit in the sukkah and feel the wind move through the branches, when you see the stars through the roof, remember that you are living Kohelet's truth. Life is hevel breath, vapor, but that does not make it meaningless. It makes it holy. Each season is a teacher. Each breath is a miracle. Everything passes. And yet, for this brief, shining moment, everything is full of meaning. And so, we rejoice.